Well, of course, we couldn't agree with you more, but I want you to talk to us a little bit about the issue of cell phone jamming. So today, speaking to the media, Speaker of the House, Baleka Mbete, did say that while the actual device didn't belong to Parliament, it wasn't acquired by Parliament, it wasn't used by Parliament, it's at this stage believed that it belongs to a state department. She hasn't said which, but a state department. Now that, of course, brings up a very big issue of separation of powers, because, of course, what is the State Department doing trying to tamper with security in the parliamentary precinct?
The first thing is that Speaker Mbete referred today to a State Department or a Department of State. I think we all know really what she was hinting at there. She never said the State Security Agency, but who else is it that is going to be dealing with this very sensitive technology, this incredibly sensitive technology? We really are given very good reason to believe that it's the State Security Agency that's doing this. And as you said, it raises a huge question. It raises a number of huge questions, but one of them is about the separation of powers. Should the spooks, the securocrats, be given the run of Parliament? This is a separate, independent institution that is all about the democratic space, where state security has a very questionable role. And I think it's not just about whether or not state security should be in there. We know that cell phone jamming is illegal. There is no law that empowers state security or anyone to use this technology. It's the first time this technology has ever been used. I think that we have another concern around the fact that so many different office bearers have given extremely evasive answers about this. It's not just about who knew what, but what they told us that turned out not to be true. So on Thursday, the Speaker, just like everyone, acted with huge shock and surprise that we had this issue of signal jamming in the House when journalists are saying, bring back the signal. She says she doesn't know what's going on. She's going to order the Secretary to investigate. Now we've discovered today that she knew possibly exactly what was going on. She was informed before the State of the Nation that technology was going to be introduced to Parliament. She has not yet admitted, as you said, who put it there, but we believe it's the State Security Agency. So again, it's an example where Parliament has given us a number of different assurances which have turned out not to be things that we can rely on. I should add that in this court application where Right to Know is involved, the State Security Ministry is also a respondent in that, and we have yet to hear from them about exactly how they're going to handle that. But it is very worrying to see that state security has gone very quiet the last few days. They've not given us any, we've not seen any public comment, except I think briefly in one of the papers I saw that the state security spokesperson has denied any involvement. It's starting to look less and less convincing. We've also got these eyewitness accounts that whether or not you can trust what eyewitnesses think that they saw, we had some very, very strong eyewitness accounts saying that they saw Cyril Ramaphosa write a note, pass it to the State Security Minister during the State of the Nation when the signals were being jammed. The State Security Minister allegedly left the chamber. Shortly after that, the signal returned. Now, that's not definitive. That really creates a space for speculation, but what we see is all these different signs, if I could speculate, that point to a strong role for state security that they haven't been upfront about.
Let's talk a little bit more about the security forces in Parliament. We know that many South Africans and certainly MPs are very upset at the use of protection officers in Parliament who quite frankly didn't belong there. And speaking to the public, Baleka Mbete did say that yes, it's not common practice to have SAPS officials in the National Assembly, but what happened in Parliament wasn't common practice either. Extraordinary times calls for extraordinary measures, but that's problematic when it comes to deciding where the lines are blurred or where to draw the line rather in Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, a number of people have raised the question about the legality of whether or not police officers should be called into the National Assembly at all, and I can't speak to that. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that the one thing that is very concerning is the climate of uncertainty that's been created, where 3 months ago we saw armored riot police come into Parliament, then the cameras went black. This time there weren't armored riot police. There were guys dressed like cocktail waiters. it was basically a very disingenuous response to the outrage about riot police to say we're no longer going to send uniformed police officers in, we're going to send guys dressed like cocktail waiters. We're not going to be clear about whether or not they in fact are police officers. We've seen over the last few days there's been a lot of dodging and ducking and diving from different officers in Parliament, from various authorities, about whether or not those were police officers. And no one, until quite recently, has given us an upfront response. So whether or not it's legal to bring in police officers, the thing that is really concerning is that Parliament has adopted all of these extraordinary new quote-unquote security measures. They haven't consulted anyone. These measures were never up for debate. As far as we can see, they didn't even run them past members of Parliament. It's not clear what the rule book is. It's not clear who knows the rule book. It's not clear whether any of the things that we're seeing happening are in that rule book. It's created this climate of secrecy and uncertainty, which is actually really bad for security and stability. So you have the situation where all of these security measures are being added and added and added, and it's not creating more security. It's creating more conflict. It's creating more uncertainty and instability. And that ultimately is again bad for democracy.